The man car.
The manter cycle.
Ew. Manly cycle.
The man cycle.
Yeah, because if you say the manly cycle, then it does make it sound like you're alluding to a period. Which no men ever have ever had ever.
Yeah, well, all right, let's...
Having a period is a woman's thing. No man. No trans, no nothing. That's a woman's thing. Meh.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Who is My Doctor?
Who is my doctor?
Who is indeed. I'm your host, Zach, and I know a lot about Doctor Who.
And I'm also your host, Cassie, and I don't know a lot about Doctor Who.
But Cassie, you did know. You knew about this episode.
I did?
This is the only episode you had any reference for beforehand.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
This is, in fact, the episode where you get to find out what wibbly wobbly timey wimey is about.
Wow.
This is Blink, our second Dr. Light episode. You'll remember the first one was Love and Monsters.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of Doctor in this one.
Dr. Light.
Yeah, this was also
Diet Doctor.
This was written by Stephen Moffat, who takes over as showrunner when Russell T Davies is over, who also wrote the episode with the Clockwork Frenchman.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah, the girl in the fireplace, and also wrote "Are You My Mummy?"
Fuck that kid.
Those were both his. And this is, I mean, it's not my favorite episode of his during the Davies era. Those come next season, but I think this is far and away most people's favorite episode of his.
Interesting.
During this run. It is arguably the most famous episode of Doctor Who. How famous is it? Charlie knows about it. Our other roommate that has never seen Doctor Who knows about this episode.
Okay. I mean, I think it should say something that my only frame of reference, even before we started this damn thing, was wibbly wobbly timey wimey, which I thought was just a funny thing that I had heard somebody say once just in the green room or something at school. And then I had said it once in the costume department. Spent a lot of time just hanging out in there. But a couple of the girls that were master's students had heard me say that. And I just remembered them stopping what they were doing and turning to look at me and saying, "Are you a Whovian?" And I went, "Am I a what? What?" And they went, "Oh, you just said something very specific." Never mind.
And now you're within the echelons of Whovians.
No, I'm not.
Partly
Shut
against your will, but you are here now.
Shut up, I say. Having now a Doctor Who cosplay.
Yeah, exactly.
That I can just wear now to any event.
I'm really excited to get to this episode, so I'm not going to belabor too much talking, because I'm excited to see how you react to this episode.
Okay.
So we'll get to the cast for Fasty right away. As your only frame of reference to this episode is wibbly wobbly timey wimey, I will let you know that is said to try and explain something. To try and explain a simple concept. What do you think that concept might be?
Like the fabric of time?
Okay. With the fabric of time? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about that, or wormholes, time travel in general, and just how it operates.
Okay, so it's part of the explainer of time. I'll take that. And then my second question, this one I'm going to give you an open question where obviously you can get 1 point, but I will also let you catch up on some missed points for the price of one Profassi.
Oh, is this because of the crow thing?
No, this is just, I think this is a good opportunity for you to...
Is this because I deserve? Because scarecrows are indeed tools.
Well, it's because this episode...
When you go to the Ace Hardware, there are scarecrows right next to the hoes and axes and stuff.
This episode introduces the most iconic alien introduced in New Who. Like, the Slitheen were kind of an attempt that didn't take off. There's a lot of one-offs. This is an alien that keeps coming back. I would like for you to describe to me what you think a weeping angel is.
Oh, no.
Just the name of it.
No, because I think I know. It's a statue, isn't it?
Is it a statue?
Yes, it's the statue that moves when you're not looking at it, but you can see it moving in the periphery.
Okay.
And then when you turn your head, it stops.
Okay.
Right? The Garden of Good and Evil?
I mean, that's what you want to say it is.
I think so.
Okay.
No, because this is unlocked somewhere very deep in my brain.
Your like 2008 Tumblr girl brain is like trying to remember what you picked up through osmosis.
I am telling you. So back in the olden times, my brother lived in Georgia. Specifically, he lived near a military base because that's when he was in the forces at the time. Mm-hmm. So whenever we would go and visit him when he was home, we would go to visit him in Georgia because his PTSD did not like California. Mm-hmm. Too loud, too much traffic, not quiet enough. So mm-hmm. Georgia was a really great place for him to be because there's fucking skinwalkers and that's it. But Savannah, Georgia was a place that we really liked going because it's fucking old and haunted. Everything is haunted. But there was a tour that we had taken at one point where they had a fucking weeping angel statue in the goddamn middle of the garden, and they talked about this shit. So I can say with almost 75% certainty that it's one of those bitches that moves around when you're not looking, and then as you turn over, it's poised in a different spot, but you don't see it move.
Okay, so that's your bullet points for it. It's a statue that only moves when you can't see it.
It moves in the periphery, kind of like when you see like shadow figures or something, like in the corner of your... There used to be a shadow cat that lived in my mom's house, and you could never see it face forward. You would only ever see the cat moving around near the ground out of the corner of your eye. But then when you turn to look to see what it was, and this was before the time, because I know that you're going to discredit this and wipe it away as, oh, it must have been one of the cats or the dog. But this was when we had but 2 dogs and 1 cat and everybody lived outside. Mm-hmm. So it could not have been an indoor animal because we did not have those at the time. We had a shadow cat that lived in my house and would move around whenever you weren't looking directly at it. It was always just down low in the periphery. Okay. So it's something that moves in your periphery where you can kind of see it. You can kind of make out what it is, kind of make out what's happening. But as soon as you turn and acknowledge it, it stops and it pauses and freezes in whatever position. Okay. Be it resuming the position that it was in before or assuming a new one.
Okay. So that's 2 things. There's 2 points so far. So if both of those are correct, you could get 2 points for the price of 1. Are there any other things you want to try and...
I'm going to say shadow as well, just because I think that's another pinpoint, is that it looks like it moves like a shadow, where it's not hard and defined, like precise movements. It's very like smoky. Okay. You know? So, I'm just, at this point,
almost like a blurry motion is what you're going
kind for. Of, yes. Okay. Undefined movement. Okay. It's not doing any Fosse over there. It's just kind of getting from point A to point B with no determined, like, no precision. Okay.
Any other points you want to try and get points for?
In a garden.
So you think that they're in a garden?
Yeah, I'm really hung up on the Garden of Good and Evil thing right now. Okay. Because also, blink for me is a spell in D&D that lets me transport to a shadow dimension in between turns, so I can't be touched. Only if I roll high enough. I don't think that this episode has anything to do with the spell.
Probably not, no. I mean, blinking is also the thing you do with your eyes.
Something to do with eyes. I'm writing that down.
You can't just write something to do with eyes. You have to...
Okay, fucking blinking then, bitch. What do you want?
Like what blinking in what way?
Eyes blinking.
Like their eyes blinking, you mean?
Or it moves when you blink your eyes.
Okay, moves when you blink your eyes, what you're going to go with?
Sure. I don't fucking know, dude. You're throwing me a goddamn bone here. I'm trying to make the most of it.
Well, that's why I can't just like let you write, they have 2 arms and 2 legs. Like I need you to be a little more elaborate of what you're trying to say.
Well, because moves in periphery / moves when you're blinking, I think are similar but different. Because it is, again, indeterminate movement.
Okay. Here's an interesting thought for you. I'll give you this sort of add-on so you can try and make another point off of it. Why are they weeping?
Because they fall over backwards into some butterscotch.
Oops, I falled over.
They were at the beach talking to their sister on the phone, and then a seagull swept down from the sky and stole their burrito.
They don't have enough points in a stupid game their boyfriend makes them play.
They don't have enough money to buy a dog.
All right, well, I take it you don't really have a guess for that one then.
I don't know, because they're stuck.
Okay, because they're stuck.
Okay. They're a statue, and they can only move sorta, kind of.
All right. Well,
they could be weeping, or it's because they're the last of their kind and they're sad. And
okay. Well, we will.
Loneliness seems to be a theme, and if they're alone in a garden, I'll say that they're crying because they're alone.
They're crying because they're alone. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's see how much of that is correct. How much of Cassie's memory is intact regarding a weeping angel, and let's find out what wibbly wobbly timey wimey is all about as we watch Blink. Hello, everybody. Instead of an ad this week, I thought you might just enjoy hearing some of Cassie's reactions to the Weeping Angels.
Ends is up in my yard. I'm gonna end you so fast. No! Don't tell Mom you're gonna play me. She's gonna move. Oh, gone. Bye. Adios, runners. You so legitimately fright. I so very much dislike these. No! I was waiting for the scary face. I've seen that before.
And back to the episode. And we are back from Blink.
It's so very dark outside. I have so many statues.
So what'd you think, Cassie?
I can't trust my outside anymore. I'm not safe.
Oh, man. It's a good episode.
I really liked it. It might be my favorite, but I hate it. Oh my god,
Bean! Don't even Bean.
Bean and you're dead. Good lord. So I was right. It was scary angel lady statue, which they did have one at a very prominent point in like the middle of a fountain in a garden in Savannah, Georgia. And I remembered that fucking image because it scared me then and it scares me now. And then spoiler alert to the very tippy top, or the very end where I went, okay, cool. It's just angels. Sure, I don't have any angel statues. I am perfectly fine. And then they show a gargoyle, and I literally have, it's a solid concrete gargoyle statue that I lovingly call Lucy.
Is it solid concrete?
I'm gonna end you. I'm gonna throw Lucy through your windshield, you absolute dick. You psychological perv.
Makes you feel a little bit better about that statue you accidentally broke last week, huh?
No, because that one's safe. I've had him for many years and he's plastic.
Oh, okay.
He's resin. That's the comforting thing I know is like, oh, okay, cool. Lucy, he is solid concrete. I do have to watch out for him. But I also have a haunted gnome and a small dragon. They're also both plastic.
So really it's just the concrete one you got to worry about.
I think so, yeah, because all of the statues were either brass or like marble or concrete. So I think I'm safe with the plastic ones.
Yeah, this was definitely, I mean, there was a reason why I said that this is the same guy who did The Empty Child, who you had a very similar response to. I don't know if you recall some of your, like, throwing shit around the room. Just
See, that's the thing is I know this. I operate with left-handed fear, which is I will throw invisible items with my left hand. Therefore, no damage is done. Even my fear boils down to our exact positioning in this room because I am in the corner of the couch that faces a very long hallway. The door is closed. I'm safe. Mm-hmm. I will not refuse to go down that hallway now with no lights on because there could be a fucking scary ass angel lady down there. I say also as I have one of my grandma's nightlights who, R.I.P. Mm-hmm. I have one of her nightlight, or that's the red nightlight that I have that I put on sometimes. Every fucking time I put it on, I'm halfway like expecting her to just be like sitting on the bed, like petting the cats. Because Monty Bailey, they both liked her. So if she were to come by and visit, they'd be like, oh, hey, grandma, like, what's up?
No one said what you're going to see is like the light.
Weeping grandma angel lady, yes.
The light's going to blink for a second and go, ah!
I'm going to bolt. I'm going to move.
Man, wonder how you're going to sleep tonight.
I'm not. That's the joke here. Before recording, I was saying, oh boy, I sure am exhausted. I've gotten maybe 15 hours of sleep in the past 3 days. I am never sleeping again. You blink and you're dead. Don't
sleep. Don't even sleep. Sleep and you're dead.
I blinked.
Yeah, it's really, that was one of the things that I think really works about it is that blinking is so like intrinsic. It's one of those like when you're reminded that you're breathing, suddenly all you can think about is that you're breathing. Like it switches to manual mode for a second.
I have 5 notes written and none of them are important.
They're just ah!
Yeah, one of them is scary angel lady. Bad.
So by my count, you get one of the Cassie for Fassy points. By my count, you get 1 for guessing that wibbly wobbly timey wimey is him explaining the fabric of time.
Yes,
it is specifically explaining
it's a ball of time.
Yeah, it is, especially in this context where the bad guys also kind of fuck with time because the weeping angels.
Because I would even argue that they're not really bad. They're scary as all being.
They're the closest to like a Cthulhu, like a Lovecraftian style monster.
Yes, because they're not doing anything inherently evil.
Yeah.
They are simply surviving and existing in a way that does displace you, but you don't die.
Yeah.
You don't get vaporized, your bones don't turn to electricity, and then you just fall to the ground. Cough, cough, nasty boy, Dalek, cough, cough.
Yeah.
Nothing. You just get transported to a time and place that you were not in before, and that's where you live now.
Yeah, and that's where you are now. You don't have any sort of like paperwork to show who you are or any like money necessarily because they sent you back. So you don't get to like go and find your old self. Like you're sent back in time and you just have to figure it out.
Yeah, the way that the doctor phrased it is they do the worst way of killing you. They send you back.
The kindest way of killing you.
Yeah, the kindest way of killing you. Just to send you back.
To live to death.
Yeah, to live to death.
Yeah, but...
And it's also, like, to be fair, the stories that are recounted to us include Kathy Nightingale, which is Sally Sparrow's friend. So many birds. Shipton, I think, is also a bird. I'll have to look that up. Kathy Nightingale gets sent back into the 60s. Yes? 20s. 1920. But she falls in love, gets married, has children, and dies in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
So, doesn't have to worry about never having enough. Okay, there is a very bright light attached to one of our neighbors' houses. There's a tree in front of that light. It's a little breezy. The tree is moving, therefore the light is moving. I'm fucking scared now. Thank you for that. But anyways, Kathy Nightingale, happy life. Billy Shipton.
Yeah.
Another gets sent back to 1969, has the great fortune of meeting the doctor and is able to at least
the
have
doctor
a little
and
bit...
his timey-wimey detector.
Yeah, and his lunchbox. And has the ability to, commune with the doctor. And again, lives a long life, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
So at least from those two instances, it's like, yeah, these people did get ripped from their lives, but it does seem that they made the best of the situation. If you had it all, you were Jeff Bezos, and you got sent back to 1930s Germany or something, you're fucked. You have no money and no,
Ah, fuck, I can't even put gas in my plane!
Yeah. Well, because I was also like, oh man, but that just means he could come up with Amazon.
Yeah.
In 1930 instead.
Yep, that's true. Yes, we talked about you getting the 1 point for the timey-wimey. You also get, I think there were 3 points for what you said.
So my points, and I think I can argue each and every one of them. Moves in periphery, yes, in that you can't be looking at them for them to move.
Yeah, I definitely, I think indisputably one of your...
In the garden, which, that one I can wave and say, that is... It's me alluding to a mental image that I had. So I suppose if you want to be a dick about it, you don't have to give me a point for that, because at the end they show these fucking angels goddamn everywhere. Statue, of course, yes. Shadow, I would say, because when the lights start flickering and they're in darkness, aka shadow, that's when they're able to really move and get their scare on. Especially when they're in the cellar of the manor, and the light starts flickering and going out. These scary ass angels are only able to do what they do because the light is flickering on and off, and so they're able to maneuver around. So I give myself a point for shadow as well. And crying because they're alone. Yes, there are huge numbers of these fuckers. However, they cannot look or commune with one another without turning to solid stone, a la Medusa. They can't Medusa themselves or each other. So they are alone, and that's why they're sad. And the doctor even says that. Therefore, I think I earn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for that.
Okay, I'll give you all 5 points.
Yes.
I wanted to think about it for just a second.
Because I can waive garden, because that is where you would find an angel. That's where you would find a statue. If I had said cellar, I think I would give myself a point for cellar, because that's not a typical place to find a statue, unless you are a legion of Chinese stone warriors, in which case then yes, that is 100%. Do you think they're weeping angels too? Oh no. So 5 points total for angels in specific, and then 1 point for explanation of time itself. Now, how do we want to do these? If we're doing 2 points a thing, are those bonus points that I have
those are bonus
earned?
points. Yes,
okay.
you
So
get your base 2.
the total is still 44.
Yeah, the total's still 44. You get your base 2, but then you add 3 on top of what you would have had before.
3?
Yeah, because
5.
Right, but 2 of those points are your normal points.
Well, 6 though. So
sorry.
total.
Okay, I misunderstood. Yes, so you get 4 points on top of your additional points. So you add 2 to the total you had, and then add 4 to the total you had. You did mention that there was Sally Sparrow and Nightingale. There was also the time the doctor says that his timey-wimey device can explode an egg at 30 paces, so he has to stay away from hens.
Yeah. Whether he wants to or not.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate to watch them explode.
So there was a couple
Scary.
little moments that I always love looking back on when I rewatch this episode. Is it
just how adorable and how much I want to take care of baby Carrie Mulligan?
It is. Yeah, that is Carrie Mulligan, and she's such a good actress. It's no surprise that she went into amazing places, because she did so well.
She's very good in this, even though this is a Doctor Light episode. It works.
Yes.
It works so well.
Yes, and especially when Sally goes upstairs and there are the 4 angels looking at her from different directions. One of them's holding the TARDIS key. Even though she's not looking at them, for some reason they're not moving. Can you think about why that is, Cassie? Could it be because there is someone looking at them?
Us, the viewer.
We're looking at them. For those of you wondering at home, Cassie just threw her pen across the room.
I punched the microphone first, and then I threw my pen.
Yes, the angels never actually move on screen. They only move in cuts. So when they cut back to them, they've moved. Or in a couple of cases, when someone wipes past them.
Now, I also had a wondering of, is that done? Because I know once upon a time, at some point, like if this was the 70s, it would be the actor pausing, so that way they could physically change out the statue.
I don't know exactly. I've never fully looked into the production. If I had to guess, it is that. Alternatively, it could be that they have actors dressed as the angels, and then just they pause the moment. They just freeze them in that moment rather than, so if they're like wobbling anyway.
Fucking tree needs to stop moving, bitch. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, but yes, the weeping angels also do not move for you, because the weeping angels are not beings that exist in the universe. They are beings of potential energy. Which is also it's one of those ideas that's really fucking cool for the like goths and dark romantics. And then when you break it down like that for all the science dweebs, it's like, oh man. Now it makes sense. Yeah, and it really, really works. Because that they established that they're these beings sort of beyond the scope of the Doctor Who, the Whoniverse.
Ew, deja vu. Like, so bad, so big, so bad, so big. Even me looking at my thing going into the red. Ooh, this has happened before.
But yeah, the idea that these beings exist sort of
talking about this episode, that's how I knew so much about them, because all of this has happened before.
I mean, maybe it's happened before. Maybe this is just a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey
No, I have
stuff.
a theory now, or I've been subscribing to the theory that deja vu is just moments when alternate versions, like all other universe Zachs and Cassies, are doing
versions of us that started this podcast 3 months earlier, and so
no, but like, you know, they're the galaxy universe so fucking big. Odds are there's another version. It's also something that makes you feel a little bit better about yourself, because it's like, okay, cool. Maybe there's another version that's doing way better. Maybe there's another version of me that's doing way worse. But anyways, the theory is, or the conversation is that deja vu is a brief moment where you in this universe is experiencing something that another version of you is going through. So it's a very like brief moment when those moments are overlapping. And so it feels familiar, like it's happened because it kind of has.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a philosophical debate.
Okay.
I suppose. Right? Philosophy.
I mean, I think it's actually...
I'm not a philosophy major. I just think it's really cool.
I think it's more just like... I think that's just a scientific theory at that point that you would need some kind of test for it.
Well, because there isn't a way to test it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just a
theory.
Yeah, and it also makes you feel, or at least it makes me feel a little bit better, being like, okay, cool. Now it's justified, because there was a moment in time where shit like that was happening to me all the time, and I thought I was going insane. But now with deja vu, I don't have to worry anymore.
With deja vu, I'm feeling better all the time.
Past, present, and future.
The Weeping Angels are just they're so simple. Because they're a thing that you've already seen, and it interacts with them in something that you already do, like, you know, looking away from things, looking at things, you know, the game of like, it's, you know, a staring contest.
Steve said a starring contest. I went
no, it's playing a staring contest. It's Stephen Moffat specifically based them off of a game kids play called Statues, you know, where if you're looking so it's sort of like red light, green light, but for your life.
There's a Bluey episode where they do it too. Like, it's a very common children's game.
Yeah, and
it's not called Statues there.
Yeah,
but
Moffat just saw some kids playing it and he thought it was frightening. So he was like, I'm going to turn that into a monster.
There's also something to be said of, and I'm sure you might have had this experience. If you've ever been in a very old graveyard, typically they're around mausoleums, but 9 times out of 10 in extremely very old graveyards, there are these beautiful statues of angels or saints, you know, the Virgin Mary, what have you. And is very easy to look at those types of things and wonder, when nobody's looking, do they move? It kind of falls into the line of like, Toy Story logic. What do your toys do when you're not around? Similarly, what do statues do when nobody's looking? Even though, yes, they most likely are not doing anything because they're fucking statues.
What if Andy's toys were fucked up?
What if Andy's toys could take you back in time and leave you there and then feast on your potential energy?
Feast on all the days you might have had, right?
I'm so mad. But also, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh man, if I could go back in time, like, I'm such a catch. I could get married to an old man so fast. Then have his estate.
There's a lot of really sweet moments peppered in too.
I specifically really like how Sally decides to sit by Rizmaster himself, Billy Shifton's bedside when he's in the hospital. Because he's dying, and he said,
Speaking like, really, what a move, though.
Oh my goodness!
Life is short, and you are hot. Like,
weak in the knees,
right? Like, what a.
If you had said that to me at any point, oh my goodness! And then I would have watched this episode and gone, "You whore! You stole that."
It was. It's a good line, and then...
Well, because it's also extremely honest.
Yeah.
It's not beating around the bush. It's not some cheesy pickup line like, oh, it says in your profile that you're demisexual. Does that mean you really love Demi Lovato?
That's a really nice moment, especially when... I like when it comes back around when he's now on his deathbed and he says, life is long and you are hot. It's one of those where it's like, it sort of, notates that he appreciates the life that he got. That it wasn't the life he was supposed to have, but
not the life that he had envisioned for himself.
Yeah, but it was.
He still made the most of things.
Yeah, and then he still married a Sally in the end.
Blonde white Sally.
Yeah, there was also that really nice moment when Kathy goes back to 1920, and she says, "I married the first person I met." When I was sent back, and it cuts to them being like, "Are you going to follow me the whole time?" And he goes, "Yeah, probably."
Yeah, it was a very you moment. I watched that and went, that's a little familiar. Still deciding if I'm going to keep dating this man. Haven't figured it out yet. Haven't made a decision. Horribly indecisive.
And they also have this fun game throughout it with the doctor being on these DVD recordings.
I am so just love that.
Yeah, it's such a simple idea.
And it's 17 DVDs because those are the only movies she owns. How do you only own 17 DVDs?
In 2007, like pre Netflix boom. What do you mean you only have 17 DVDs?
To be fair, at that point, DVDs are like $20 ish.
I mean, I guess, but it's
$15 to $20. So, like, if you are, and if you're not somebody who particularly likes watching movies,
yeah, I guess
even still,
I guess that's fair because it sounds like her hobbies were more breaking into old houses to.
Yeah, and just being curious because she's sad and she likes being in sad area.
I mean, Sally Sparrow's going to get so excited in a few years when murder podcasts take off.
Oh my God, she's going to love...
She's never going to have to leave her...
She's going to love true crime.
She's never going to have to go back to that DVD store again.
All of the true crime... Well, she owns it, I think.
She co-managed it with...
Well, no, because her name was on the title of it. It was Sparrow and Nightingales.
Yeah, because it was owned by. I guess maybe they took it over after the other guy was there because they had that other manager who was there with them. Yeah, so I'm curious. I mean, they don't really explain what happened there. They didn't really need to.
No, that's not pertinent to the episode.
Yeah, I will tell you though that that wasn't originally how the episode ended.
How did the episode? Oh no! How did the episode end?
The original draft for the episode was that when Sally went back into the video store, there was an angel waiting for her inside the video store.
I would have actually screamed, cried, and thrown up.
Yeah, and then Robert was just going to be confused as to where Sally went, and then saw a picture hanging up on the wall of Sally like smiling and waving at him.
I would absolutely lose my mind because like the doctor says something of like, oh yeah, weddings. I'm horrible at weddings. Mm-hmm. And then as Larry comes out of the like office to see the doctor, she grabs his hand. So I took that as the implication of cool. At some point, she's able to flag down the doctor and invite him to their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I read into it. I'm taking generous leaps and bounds, but that's also a weird thing for the doctor to say.
It's kind of interesting though that this, because of the ending that they have now, the episode sort of has this like time paradox in it. Because the basically the crux of the episode is that the Weeping Angels sent the Doctor back in time when they couldn't get back to the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
But now the Doctor has the information that he will one day be sent back in time to 1969, and he does not avoid it.
I think there's also something to be said if the Doctor has this knowledge, has this information. There's a very real chance that the Doctor doesn't actually do anything with it.
I mean,
for a very long time.
Yeah. It is kind of fun. Like I said, this is a lot of people's favorite episode. This is not like not just their favorite episode Moffat wrote, their favorite episode, period.
I definitely think this might be. I like to tease that my favorite episode is Love and Monsters because I think it's funny. And anytime I hear Mr. Blue Sky now, I flip-flop between Groot and Moaning Myrtle face tile. Which is a horrible combination. But I genuinely believe that at the end of this all, I could say that this is the one that I... Like, if I were to show an episode of Doctor Who to somebody in my family, this might be the one that I direct them to.
Yeah, it's also really... Because it's a Dr. Light episode, it's really easy to grasp, too. It's kind of easy to jump in on. It's
easy to grasp. It's got Carey Mulligan.
Yeah.
Somebody that... at that time, like, not a huge star. I didn't know Monty was out here, too. At that time, not a huge star. So, but now is rather popular and well-known and well-liked. Unproblematic as far as I know.
As far as I know as well.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. Only 5 bullet points. And some of them were just... names of people so that way I wouldn't forget.
Yeah. And I like that they set up that the angels are weeping because if they look at it,
they're not weeping, they're simply covering their own eyes.
Yeah, because if they look at each other, they're stuck in place.
Which I also like the clever trap of having the angels all like standing around each 4 sides of the TARDIS, having the TARDIS disappear without Sally and Larry.
But because they're now facing 4 directions at each other, they're stuck.
Yeah. And that's really fucked up because for a second I was like, "Oh no, they're like they're going to be disappeared and trapped somewhere." Or my thought was, cool, the Doctor's going to come back to this time and place and rescue. It felt like a little bit of a stretch, but, Yeah,
it was a very fun...
But I like the, that actually makes perfect fucking sense. That now these poor angel ladies are all looking at each other, and now they're stuck like that forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very good episode. A lot of people's favorite. It's not my favorite. It's not even my favorite one that Moffat's written. It's not even my favorite one Moffat's written for David Tennant. My favorite one that Moffat wrote for Tennant is Next Season.
Okay.
My favorite story he ever wrote is for Capaldi. So we're quite a way away from that one. But I'm excited for us to get there. Next time, though, we get one that's going to be probably our longest episode just by nature of it is the only 3-parter in the whole series so far.
Yikes.
So it's going to be a beefy one. But it'll be a fun one because it's also the series finale. So we get to see how Martha and the Doctor finish off their season together. I
also do like real quick. This is also a very Martha light episode because at one point while the Doctor is in his little like recording booth, she mentions that she has to work for him to take care of him. It's like, what an old married couple. Like,
well, it's especially just because, I mean, they're both not really there because they needed to be there for the 3-part finale. So to try and save recording time, they could film this episode, have David Tennant do very little, have Martha
all
Freema
of David
Agyeman do very
Tennant's
little.
Things are pre-recorded.
Yeah, it's mostly the pre-recorded stuff, and then it's that bit at the ending and that bit with
because he's also pre-recorded in the TARDIS, like when he's a hologram.
Yeah, So there's not a lot they have to have him do. They can do it,
but it works.
Yeah, they can kind of.
I didn't miss him at all in this.
Yeah, so it's very good. It was a very good episode. I could totally understand why it's so many people's favorites. I am excited to show you where they go, though, because the reason
the Weeping Angels come back, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
the Weeping Angels do indeed come back. Not next episode, though.
I hate that. I hate them so
I don't
much.
think they come
back. Is there a Weeping Angel Dalek episode? Because I feel like if a Weeping Angel can be destroyed by anything, it's a Dalek.
I honestly don't remember. Although a Weeping Angel might have difficulty getting a hold of a Dalek because they're inside a machine.
Well, yeah, but also they say that you can't destroy stone. But yeah, I think they could be vaporized.
I don't think there is one, but that'd be a fun little crossover to have at some point.
Angel v Dalek, let's go, baby.
Well, like I said, this was a Dr. Light episode because David Tennant and Freema Agyeman were needed to be filming the 3-parter coming up. A 3-parter we will watch on the next episode of Who Is My Doctor?
Who is my doctor?
Who is indeed.
Goodbye?
Don't blink. Don't even blink. Hit subscribe, but don't blink when you're hitting subscribe. Give it 5 stars, but don't blink when you're giving us 5 stars. Just do it.
Blink and you die. Or you die if you don't listen to the next episode of this podcast.
That was Blink. Did you have a good time? I know I did. Cassie may or may not have, depending on how and when you ask her. I was a little surprised how short this one came out to be. I felt like we had a lot to talk about. If I'd realized it at the time, maybe I would have figured out some more things to talk about, but that's just the way this podcast cookie crumbles sometimes. Next week is the Series 3 finale and our 35th episode. It's going to be a big one as we talk about Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords. So we'll see you next Tuesday, because your Tuesdays are now Who's Days.